Hello, writer friends. My name is Julie Artz, and I'm an author, editor, and book coach. I am here for part 2 in my Word for Authors series. My first video released last year was about how to format in standard manuscript format. If you have not checked that out yet, be sure that you watch it after this one. Today, we're going to talk about track changes. A lot of authors are confused about track changes, struggle when they receive a document with track changes back from their critique partners or from their editor or agent. And so I just want to demystify the process a little bit for you. First, what is track changes? Track changes is a way for one person to mark up a document and send comments and suggested changes back to the author. There are a variety of applications that have a track changes option, including Pages for Mac, Google Documents, where you can use suggesting to track the changes versus editing directly in the document without tracking the changes, and the most common and industry standard for the publishing industry, Microsoft Word. So I'm going to be offering suggestions and a demonstration of how to use track changes in Microsoft Word for Mac today. If you're using Word for Microsoft Windows, you can look in the help system for the location of the various options that I'm talking about today. I'm going to share with you a sample story that I had published in the Sirens Benefit Anthology last year. I've taken the identifying information out, but this really is an actual draft of a short story that I had published. And as you can see here, it's in standard manuscript format. So if you have questions about that, I do have that other video. So we're in Word, and you can see here that I'm already on the review tab. And what that is going to do is going to give you all the options related to track changes. So track changes is already turned on, but when I look at my document, oh no, I don't have any comments. This is a very common question that I get. I send somebody comments and they come back and they say, wait, I don't see any comments in here. So that's why I want to draw your attention to this little thing here, this drop down that says no markup. What that means is the track changes are there, but they're not showing them to you. So you've got two options. You've got the possibility to look at all markup or simple markup. I'll show you simple markup first. Some people like this because it's less messy. It's easier to read, and you just have these lines down at the side to show you where things have been changed. I personally like to use full markup so that I can see what was there before, which shows up in a comment on the side with the word deleted, and the new text is underlined and blue so that I can see exactly what has been changed. Okay, so you can see here that I have made a suggestion to myself. It says Julie Artz. It is possible that if you send this to multiple people, say the critique partners in your critique group, that they could come back to you and you can have multiple different people commenting in the document. So that's why it's important to have your name with each comment so you can know who has made which comment on your document. But in this case, all of these comments are from me. So you've got a couple of different things here. We do still have the line on the left-hand side, which is a nice visual indicator. Sometimes it's easy to miss something like this little added apostrophe here. And that line will just, when you're editing, give you a chance to find exactly where all the changes are. So you can see I've corrected some spelling mistakes. I added a missing period here. I had already changed the title above, and so of course I want to also change it in the header. So what are some other common things that you might see in a track changes document besides these small little line edits. You might get comments. You can see this comment that I had here. This is a better title. Amazingly, my critique partners did not think that my hat tip to a rather obscure fish song was a good title for this speculative fiction piece set in space, and suggested that I call it Space Carrion instead. And guess what? The published story is called Space Carrion and not Laugh and Fall Apart. So always good to have those critique partners to keep you honest when you start putting obscure things into your stories that don't make sense to anyone except yourself. Once you've gone through and you've looked at all the comments, you've looked at all the line edits that people have put in, and you feel like you're ready, you can start to accept or reject the changes. There's two ways that you can do that. You can either do it by using these buttons up at the top that say accept or reject, or you can do it as you go down the side. Now, it is possible to click accept all changes and stop tracking. I don't recommend doing this because there could be an extra space in there. There could be a comment that you don't agree with. I usually go through them one by one. And although you can use this handy dandy button, I usually just go through the manuscript this way. So as I said before, I do like the new title that my critique partner suggested. So I'm going to go ahead and accept that change. So I just right clicked and I'm going to go to accept change. Now you'll see that my comment is still in here. If this is a draft that I'm going to continue to revise, I might just say resolve comment, and that'll gray it out. So that tells me I've already dealt with this comment. I don't need to look at it anymore. If though this is going to be the final version that's going to go to my editor, I'm going to go ahead and delete that comment to create a clean copy for whoever's going to look at this next. Now you'll notice that even though I accepted the deleted text, I still have the new text in here underlined, and I want to get rid of that too. So again, I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to say accept change. Now, say for example, that even though Magnus is usually spelled as this has been corrected, I, in my story, wanted to spell it with an E. So I might say, oh, this isn't a correct edit. I'm going to reject it. Philosophically, I would normally say to make sure that you're using your reject comment with great care, but every once in a while, somebody suggests something that's not true to your vision for the story and you've got to do it. So in that case, you just right click again and you just say reject change. Now, notice that the U and the E are both in here. So you're just going to want to go back in and delete it out. The line disappears, the text looks normal, and I've got Magnus in here with that spelling. If you have track changes and comments in the actual header or footer of your document, you usually only have to accept those once, and it'll do it on every page in the document. So that's a nice little trick there. So once you've gone through and you've accepted or rejected all your changes and you have a clean document, one thing that you might want to do is go back and rename the document before you save it. And the reason is because you never know when you might accept some changes and then later on say, wait, I knew there was a reason that I described that the way that I did in this. It was because I was setting up for something that I'm going to do in the next chapter or in the next book or whatever. And so it's always good to keep different revision versions of your manuscript. So you can just go ahead and do a file, save as, and what I like to do is put the date at the end of the document. So when I am looking for my April 6th revision, I will have that right there at my fingertips. So now I have the original version and I have my new clean copy. So just to review, all of your review tools for track changes are under the review menu in Microsoft Word. When you get a document and you're going to put changes into it that you want to track and highlight for the person who's going to look at it, you just click on track changes. And you can either look at simple markup, all markup, or you can turn to no markup if you don't want to be able to see that at all. You can use accept and reject changes either in the buttons here or by right-clicking in the text of your document on a comment or a suggestion. And as you can see, it's a really powerful tool for helping you get line level feedback on your work. Whether you're using track changes in Google Drive, in Mac Pages, or in Microsoft Word, using track changes is an excellent way to share comments at the line level with your critique partners or with other writers that you work with. So that's a brief introduction to Microsoft Word track changes. It's a powerful tool for writers to use, but it can also be a little confusing until you get used to it. So I hope this video helped. If you have any additional questions that you'd like me to answer in a future video, please do mention them in the comments and I will add them to my queue. Thanks so much and happy writing, authors.